YouTube channel Nest for Code, the place where code nourish. This is a recording of our live session for the introduction to Python. So guys, enjoy the session. Yes, so welcome to the today's session organized by Nest for Code. And the agenda for the today is like why Python, what is Python, and what's the difference between a programming language, a scripting language, what are the compiled language, what is the interpreted language, how you can start with Python, how you can install Python, and then we'll see like how you can start coding in Python, what are variables, what are numbers, or like how you can convert one data type in Python. So yeah, the first thing we'll start with today is like what is so like why you like chosen the Python path, or like why Python, or we can go for Python, or if like in the between of the session whenever you have any doubts you can just post it on the chat box, so you get the idea of Python, you get the feel of Python. And also like we will have a followed more sessions, discussions, problem statements, or like we'll try to share some videos for you with the top for the topics, so we'll try to problems like on the regular basis we'll share some problems which you can practice on, and based on the problems we will try to conduct some discussion sessions or the problem sessions for you guys. Yeah, and like for now like we have kept few sessions like for free of course for everyone, and thanks to Nest for Code for organizing this. Yeah guys, so we'll start with today's session. So like the first thing is like we need to understand. Okay, so guys, before I start the session I just want a small intro about you guys. So like maybe like what you do, or like you are a college student, or you are a graduate, or like you are working professional. Just a one line intro, maybe your just name, or the one line intro, anything like your name, maybe your college or your city or your country, or like what you do. Like you are a working guy, you are a fresher, like just one line intro would be great if you just put it on the chat box, like at least. And one more thing I want to make it clear, like this is going to be an interactive session. The point is like it's not a college lecture where I would be just speaking and you are guys are silently listening. So like you should also contribute, and I should also understand you guys are there, or you are learning, or you're not learning, you have any doubts or anything. So yeah, that would be great like if you just give a brief intro about you in a chat box, so at least I would also know like what's your, or like if you have any comments also about the session or the series, or you want the sessions to be more like live session, or you want more video based session. And this objective of this series is mainly to start coding with Python. Like we will be mainly covering basics parts on of the Python. And also the objective is like what happens, like people go to like they like whenever they go to say YouTube, like there are a lot of resources which are available today. You can read books, you can go to YouTube, there are a lot of other things, but yeah, there is nothing structured way you can get the thing. So that's the objective behind this, like we want you, like so people you can get directions, like if you're starting with. So the objective is like because of all this lockdown and all, people are not getting the direction, and they search the resources but sometimes they got confused, they are stuck. So the objective is like you get a proper direction and you can start learning, you can start coding. And what happens, many times people have the concept but they don't know the coding. So the main objective here would also be to learn the coding. The focus would be more towards that you guys are being able to write code. It's not just about the concepts of Python. Yeah, so like from your side, like you are saying it's interested language, or it's easy to learn the development. It's less code as compared to some places. Like yeah, everyone would have some reasons, right? Like maybe or because we are free, then also we can learn Python like this, right? Yeah, some like it's okay, it's going like on for data analytics and all. Okay, yeah. So we'll start with also from my side. Like one thing is like Python is free. Yeah, so free, like I think why like if Python is free, like what's the advantage here? So guys, if I talk about all these heavy scientific calculation, mathematical computations. I can do it in case of say uh, applications like MATLAB also, if you guys have heard of, right? But what's the case is like MATLAB, it's cost in lakhs when come for the license, but when it comes for Python, it's free for individual, it's free for companies also. Yeah, and I think as many of you also mentioned, it's easy to understand. You don't need to put that a lot of efforts like other language. In case of Python, it's very easy to understand. And the major part is like you don't need any prior knowledge for Python. So what does it mean? It's like you can be from any background, right? It's not that you need to, like earlier what people used to say that C is the first language you should learn if you want to start with programming. But the direction has changed. Like if you just want, like if you're not from a computer science background or you're from any domain and you want to learn programming or you want to get hands-on of programming, you can start with Python. And it's high in demand, we know, right? Like these days, it's very high in demand also. It's extensible. Extensible means like you can easily extend the code which is written in other languages to Python. Yeah. So other thing is it's portable. So what does portable means? We can easily port. So if you go to the literal meaning also of portable, like you can easily port from one machine to another machine. So what happens, right? For the languages like C, C++, if you have written a code on one machine, it may or may not work on the other machine. But when it comes to Python, if you have written a code on one machine, you can execute it on any machine. Like it's not dependent on the underlying architecture of our machine. The other thing is object oriented programming. So when we talk about OOPS, we mainly talk about OOPS principle or objects or classes. So Python supports all of these also. The other thing is Python is open source. So if you want to contribute to the Python community, you can go and contribute also. The other thing is dynamic memory management. So what does it mean? That in case of few languages, like if we talk about say C, C++, you have to manage the memory on your own. In terms of memory management, like whatever the program you are writing, right? What the memory allocation or whatever the resources it's using in terms of memory, like memory mainly main memory, you have to maintain it on own. Python take care of it is internally. If I talk now about the scope of Python, right? So when it comes to scope of Python, it's being used in different areas, different domains like data science, web development, software testing, GUI development, and game development. So GUI development would be like desktop-based applications, right? So we know like in today's world, there's a lot of research and a lot of development being going on towards in the area of data science, right? And Python is being used heavily also there. And web development also, like for writing the websites or the web applications, we are using Python for testing also. So there are different modules or libraries available in Python which enable us to do this. Yeah. Next thing is artificial intelligence, right? So we know right today's time when we are following more, we are going towards more social distancing, right? Because of all this corona and all these fields are more evolving because what we are preferring less human interaction. So because of this, it's more like we are going towards all these artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these areas. The other thing is automation. Like, so if you want to automate things, we can easily do it in Python. It's also being used in the ethical hacking area also. So guys, I will just show you one Google trend. Like if you want to see like how, so this snippet is taken from trends.google.com. And if you want to see like how Python is trending as compared to the other languages. So you can see this green line which is showing for Python, and you can see like how like these is C, C++ or ASP.NET, right? These languages are not that trending, but if you see for the Python, uh, right, it's, and if you see Java also, right, it's Python is showing above Java, right? Okay, guys. So next thing is like what people normally like what's generally a average salary that people get in case of Python. So guys, this is like just taken a snippet from payscale.com. Right? You can also go and check for any company or like for any technology or for any location. Like this is I have taken from specifically for India, right? So this is like for so you can see the for the entry level jobs in Python, like all these software engineer or data scientist software developer, people are earning more than 5+ lakhs, and when it comes to experienced people, like it's the salary is like 10+ lakhs. Yeah, and this is average salary, right? So it can be too high also and bit a little low also, but it's average salary, so people at least earning like around 5 plus. So guys, now the things come, what is Python? So we understood why Python, we understood the scope of Python and how much people are earning in Python, but the thing is, what is Python? Okay, so we'll starting with Python. So before we go into the depth of Python, I just want you guys to understand what is a programming language or what are the scripting language. And guys, many times people even like if you're doing giving an interview, these questions are mainly asked also. So guys, if we talk about programming languages or a scripting language, so guys, what do you think? What computer understands? Does computer understand our normal English, like whatever we speak? Does computer understand that? Like whatever we say, can we say computer right? You like, say hello. So would computer say hello? What we like, how we interact with computer, like does like what computer finally understand? Computer is a machine, right? We all know. So what actually computer understands? What do you think? Does it understand the plain English, or does it understand your local language? So what computer actually understand? Does it understand us, like whatever we say and then computer understand? No, right? It will not understand like whatever we say. So what computer understand, right? Computer just understand binary, right? So whatever we say, it will not understand. So what we know, right? Computer, like it is, it's generally understand zeros or one. This is something which computer understand. Even in the initial stage of computer, people were used to write things in zeros or one. Then some middle level language comes, and then now we in the today's world we have all these high level language. And what the high level language do? They have make it easier for to interact with the computer, right? So we can just write our code in a high level language, which will be easily served. What does this language do? They allow us to write the computer instructions in a syntax which is like more easy for us, right? So if you see the syntax of any language, right, so somehow it's very close. So it will have a syntax, but it's more close to language which we also understand, right? And it internally will be converted into instructions or the language which computer understand. So we know all these languages, C, C++, Java, all these languages, they are high level language, right? And we can do a lot with these languages like web development, UI development, game development, etc. Guys, when it comes to the scripting language, right, they are just used to write the scripts, which normally what are the scripts? Like they are generally used for some automation or maybe some testing or maybe client-side coding, client-side scripting. And like languages which comes under this category are like Perl, shell scripting or .bat files also. And what does like script generally consist of? It will consist of some commands like which can be used to perform some tasks. So if you have worked on say Linux or Unix, like you will understand shell scripting or the commands like which people use generally on like terminal. If you are say from a Windows background, right? So if I talk about commands like, so if we have used run, so in run we can go and say type some commands, or we can start our command prompt also, and we can just set up commands. And if I pick some command and put it on .bat in a file, it will be some .bat file which is a batch file for the command. So you can consider this from a Windows perspective. So I think with the time Windows have improved a lot in terms of GUI and all. But yeah, if you have heard of DOS OS, have you guys heard of DOS OS? Have you guys heard of MS DOS? MS DOS. It's a operating system. So guys, if I talk about MS DOS, right? So I will talk about maybe like computer the way it was like, because today like we know we get like if our Windows failure is something or something happens, we can just insert a CD and recover our Windows and all. But what was the I think around 10 years back, what was the case? Like there was a floppy disk or there like which can keep only 3 MB of data max, right? And people were used to MS DOS is also an operating system, which is not that much used, or like people might not be aware of. But yeah, it was a OS which is supposed to store in a floppy disk of around 3 MB. And like if your Windows failed, you can just put a floppy disk on your machine and then you can start. But yeah, these days, like maybe people have even not seen the floppy disk, or it's not there, maybe because we just put a pen drive and get our job done, right? Which is a bootable pen drive and it will fix our OS. Yeah. But like MS-DOS was used in earlier. So MS-DOS were more towards commands and all. But yeah, nowadays it's not an era of floppy disk. Even like CDs and all, they are also deprecated. Like these days, many laptops are coming without the CD disk drivers also. It's not there. So guys, I hope you have understood like what's the difference between a high level programming language or a scripting language, what is a command and how they are different. So now things come in like, what is Python? Like where Python do you think it's fit in? Is it a Python a programming language or a scripting language? So guys, what do you think? What we'll call a Python, a programming language or a scripting language? Okay, if I see the inputs from you guys, if you are saying it's a programming language, if you have inputs, both will support both. We can do scripting as well, and it's a combination of both. Okay, guys. So yeah, guys. So when you talk about Python, it's a programming language or a scripting language. Python is a full-fledged high-level programming language. We are using it also as a scripting language, and it's a high-level interpreted object-oriented programming language. So it's one of the interpreted language, and we are using it for the use cases where the scripting language are being used today. So I think I have introduced one more keyword, which is interpreted. So let's see what's the interpreted or a compiled languages are. So guys, if you have worked on languages like C, C++, or Java, you know, right? We used to get a lot of compilation errors, right? Semicolon missing, which is one famous one. So what they do, right? They take the complete program and they generate an intermediate code, right? And they require more memory because they will take the complete program and then they will generate the intermediate code, and the incomplete code would be loaded into the memory. And they also display as the complete error of the program. Like they will check the complete program each line and they will just show the errors to us. But when it comes to interpreted language, what they do, right? They do the line by line execution, right? So what it does, they will take one line and execute this. They will take another line and execute this, and they will need less memory. The reason behind interpreted language taking less memory is because they don't generate anything like intermediate code. They don't need to load the complete program at once. And this is also one reason, right? When it comes to like data science, data processing, dealing with big data, we're using Python because we don't need the complete data to be loaded once into our memory. And also there is one thing, right? It will not display the complete errors at once. It will display the errors only when a line is executed. So guys, do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage? Like if it's come, so and if we talk about object code or an intermediate code, right? So what's the thing is like, so guys, what happened, right? So we know computer understands zeros or one, but we know there are machine level language also or assembly language also, which computer understands. So normally these language, they will not just convert code directly into zeros or one. It will maybe generate a code in some object code or say a assembly code, right? So yeah, we understood like it's a good that we align by an execution will give us less memory, but we don't display the error at once. So do you think it's an advantage of a interpreted language, like because we are not displaying error at once, or it can be a disadvantage for these languages? From a developer perspective, what we'll feel, it's good, right? We have not deal with all this compilation error. We are free from the compilation error. Yeah, In this case also it will do some syntax check, but yeah, the actual like semantics check and all, it will not happen at the compilation time. So but what would be the problem? The problem would be, right, let us suppose you have written a program and you have not tested it properly and you give it to your client or user. So what could happen? The client which was not executed on your machine and it go executed on your client machine or a user machine. So what would happen? It will throw an error at that point. So I would say it's more important to test your code extensively in case of an interpreted language. So I don't see this as an advantage because it can cause issues later and we need to test the things properly in case of an interpreted language as a developer. Okay guys, so we'll just see quickly like on the comparison of Python with the other language. Like, so we know, right, we say it's easy to understand as compared to the other language. So we'll just go and see, right, how it's like different from the other languages, and if we are to compare with other languages, what are the differences we'll see in Python. And the one more important thing is, right, so if I know already a language, what's the benefit, or like should I learn a language, or it's good to know Java or C. So one thing I would say, guys, right, I'm just taking this Python session. It doesn't mean that I will always say that you should go and learn Python. You should have some objective in your mind. Like, so one thing could be like you have having a hobby to learn new languages, or you're exploring, or because of maybe free time of all of this corona and all, you're learning the technologies. That's a good point. But you should have some objective in your mind that why do you want to learn a language. It should not be that because of just things coming free, right? We don't take everything. Okay, so we'll just see the comparison of Python with other languages. So yeah, the first thing is it's a dynamically typed language. Okay, and the other thing is like other languages are like statically typed language. So what does dynamically typed language means? What is a statically typed language? So guys, in Python, like whenever you define any variables or you define any data types, you don't need to take care of defining all the variable like int, float, string like this. But in case of C, C++, you need to define all this while writing your code. Like when you are starting with your code, you have to define all this. But in case of Python, it's not a necessity. You can just define a equal to 2 and it will be taken care internally. You don't need to worry of that this a would hold an integer or a string or something. So guys, if you're not aware of all these data types, that's also fine, because we're just seeing some differences. Like if you have worked on C, C++ or Java or any programming, you would understood. Otherwise also it's fine. There is no issue. Okay guys, yeah. And other thing is, so like if you want to write a very basic program, say I want to print something right on a screen, like I want to start a very basic program that hello world. So in this case, what can we do? In case of Python, the program looks like this. Just we need to write a print, and then in the print we can just pass hello world. The other thing is, like if we talk about language like C, we need to start with this header file. We need to understand method, then we can all print. If we talk about Java, it will be we have to start with classes and all this public static void main, then a string args, and then also it's system.out.println, and then we will be able to write this program. So you can see the complexity here in case of C or Java, and you can see the how it's simple to do the same thing in Python. Okay, guys, we'll see some more differences. Python is an object-oriented language. So when we talk about object-oriented thing, it's more about like we talk about OOPS concept. And when we talk about C, like we know C doesn't support any OOPS things, right? It doesn't support any OOPS concepts. And when we talk about Java, right? Java we know, right? If we have worked on or if we have heard of Java, everything starts with classes. So Java supports all these OOPS concepts, but it also supports the primitive data types. So you cannot say that Java is a pure object-oriented language because it supports primitive data types. So what are primitive data types? So whenever you define a variable like int a equal to b or like float a equal to 2, all these are called as primitive data types. They are not the objects. They will be allocated somewhere in the stack or in a registers. It will not be stored in a heap. Okay guys, other thing is Python is an indentation oriented language and the only control structure is colon. So guys, in Python, we don't have all these curly braces, round brackets, semicolon, comma, and all. It's not there in Python to control the flow, which is there in C, C++, or Java. And guys, trust me, all these curly braces, round brackets, and all, because of this, we get lot of errors also. We put the brackets wrong, or we put the semicolon at wrong place, we get lot of errors also. It make our code more error prone if we have a more such control characters. In case of Python, we mainly control the things with the help of an indentation. So what does indentation means? Like it means proper spacing, like space characters or a tab characters and other things. So I will explain you indentation also, like when we start with Python. So it's mainly like proper spacing should be there. Yeah. The other thing is like, so if you see the code also, like in this code, we just have this colon thing. But if you see the code for C or Java, you can see, right? We have put all these curly brackets, braces, semicolon, and other things also. You can see the complexity it's come with. The other thing is, right, in case of Python, it's having a very extensive libraries are there. So what does it mean? So what does a library mean, right? So like if you guys heard of libraries, modules, all these are like APIs, all these somewhere fit in the same area. So what does it mean? In a layman language, it's like something which is already done by someone and we can use it. Like some code which is already written by someone and we can use it for our purpose. So all these like, so guys, let us suppose like if I want to do something related to data science, I don't need to go and write each algo on my own, right? There are modules or like Python, like NumPy, pandas, and I can use these modules, and then I can use them, and I can do like meet my objective or whatever my requirement. So it's already code or things which are done or written and which are available for public to use. So this is very good in case of Python, and due to this only, because of these all these libraries and modules, it's being popular so much. In case of C, right, nobody heard of or nobody think of or doing all this data science, and because there are very less libraries and modules which are available. In Java, there is a modular set of like you have the libraries and all this there, right? There is a moderate things which are available, but you need to put more efforts actually to get in with the same. Okay, guys. So that's why people don't like prefer that much Java. Okay, guys. So next thing come in is like how to like, so we understood like why Python, what is Python, we understood how when it's compared with other languages, how does it work. The next thing come in, which is like how we can start with Python, how we can install Python. So guys, I would say there are two options that would be available to start with Python. One is we have this python.org, which is our official website. We can just go and download from there. The other one is Anaconda. So what is Anaconda? Anaconda is Python plus IPython plus Jupyter Notebook plus other libraries. So guys, when we talk about Anaconda, Anaconda would have the basic Python thing also. It's a main package. Like it's not a different technology. It's not that you like it's not a programming language. It's a package. What comes in this package? The basic Python installer will be there, but along with that there will be IPython also. There will be a Jupyter Notebook. So I'll show you how Jupyter Notebook works. But Jupyter Notebook is a worldwide preferred tool for learning Python or to writing small snippets because it's very user friendly. Okay, so now things come in versions of Python. So guys, you might have heard of like popular versions of Python these days, like 2.7 and 3.8. So 2.7 companies are still using this version, but there is no new update in this version after. Like Python organization said that will not no longer support this version, and you have to migrate to the new version. And there are many existing libraries which are already written in this version. But in case of 3.8, right, it's the latest version of Python. There is no back support, and it's a future version of Python, right? And industries, they are migrating from 2.7 to 3.8. So when what do you think what is no back support means? Like so like normally what happens, right? Whenever companies like they release new versions, like the existing code generally expected to work. But in case of Python, what they did when they released 3 plus versions, the code which is already written in 2 plus versions may or may not work in the versions 3 plus. because they even changed the syntax, or they have changed even the logical meaning of few things. So that's why, right, companies are constantly transferring their code from 2.7 to 3.8, and still that's why still they are using 2.7, because they have to do it as a project of migration from 2.7 to 3.8. So you can see still companies are still working on 2.7, and they are slowly migrating because Python is no longer supporting this. And this is just the basic snippet, like what all the companies like which are using Python, right? And so if you see, right, there are big companies like YouTube, Google, and like it's being used by Uber, Netflix. I think these days people are extensively using Netflix, Instagram, and all in different domains. Like it's not just a software domain, right? Or the companies or the government organizations like NASA, other things are like it's being used everywhere. For the games, for the OS, and the light and magic shows. Like it's being used in different areas. Instagram is also using it. Facebook is also using. I just have taken a snippet for the few companies. So guys, like whatever is covered so far. So we'll start with like how you can actually install Python, and like I will just show you Jupyter Notebook. And after that, we'll see like how you define variables, how you take input from the user, how you can convert from one data type to other data type. So you can start coding with Python, right? So this was the intro. So let me know like if you have any doubts so far. Whatever the doubts, you can just put it on the chat box. We'll take the questions now for the part which is covered so far. So the objective is like you learn coding. And trust me, like whenever you learn a language, don't just go with concepts, go with coding. And the only mantra to be expert or to be good in coding is practice, practice, and practice. Okay, so I will taking doubt like whatever you guys have put a doubt. So which IDE is better to execute the code, Jupyter Notebook or PyCharm? So guys, I would say if you are starting with Python, if you are new to Python, start with Jupyter Notebook because it's very easy to write small snippet of codes in Jupyter Notebook and to start with Jupyter Notebook. But yeah, when it comes to you're writing a full-fledged projects or you have multiple files of Python code, you can go with PyCharm. But yeah, to start with, to practice or to learn coding, you can go with Jupyter Notebook. But to go for projects or to have, if you have multiple files, if you're writing on modules and all, you can go with PyCharm. Yeah, and I think like if I compare R language with Python, right? So guys, yeah, R is like it's being used from a long time for Python. Sorry, it's used is being used from long time for data science. But these days we are seeing Python more, right? Because what's the reason is when you learn R, you can just go for data science. You don't have any other domain where you will be using R. And it's not that easy to learn R also, but easy to learn Python. Right? That's why companies are also preferring Python developers for data science purpose. And it's good, like because once you know Python, you can have different domains. You're not just specific to data science. You can go for web development, you can go for web development, you can go for games development. Different areas are open for you. So that's why, like, if you are very specific to even data science, the new companies, the new startup which are starting with, they are using Python only. They are not going for R because if they will get the R developers, it would be costly and all. Like the, because right, companies always see cost in terms of training the employees, also in terms of getting the market hires. Right, everything comes with a cost. Thanks guys for watching the video, and we hope that you like this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe our YouTube channel so you don't miss out any videos in the future also. And guys, also join our Facebook group mentioned in the description so you can also attend the live sessions in future. Thank you.